Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm ready to do a morning Bitcoin analysis, but first I want to show you guys some data that I look at every morning before I sort of get my analysis started, okay? So I told you guys about Skew many times. Please go to their website, skew.com, or you can follow their Twitter handle right here, Skew Markets, okay? As you can see right there. All right, so first things first, one thing to note, Bakkt opened, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that's essentially where we saw the first couple days. 9/23 was where we saw that big drop in price. Just I think 2 days after Bakkt opened, so it was like right here, as you can see. 24th was a drop in price, and I think Bakkt opened the 23rd or the 22nd. Okay, so clearly there was some impact on the market due to Bakkt. We cannot definitively say that Bakkt decided to crush the price, but something clearly warranted the drop in price right around the time of Bakkt launch, right? And as I've told you guys many times before, that whenever there's big sort of futures products coming into the market, into a new asset class like Bitcoin, it's pretty easy to sort of move the market one way or another, because it doesn't really require a whole lot of money to move the market, especially for Bitcoin, a couple $100s, right? So for example, if you wanted to move the market, maybe, I don't know, $100 or $300 or $500, it probably requires maybe less than, I don't know, $50 million or something, okay? And then with that, you get a lot of liquidations on the way down, and you collect maybe 2 or 3 times that as you crush the market on the way down, right? Okay, so first things first, again, the Bakkt open interest is down almost 50% in 1 week. All right, so as you can see right there, Bakkt has essentially been not interested in this particular area. And for the most part, we're kind of seeing that reflected in price, that there's really no sort of interest from buyers in this particular area, especially in this whole 8,000 zone. All that price has been doing really is it's just hunting for liquidity, whether it's liquidity down here to push the price up, or liquidity up here to stop out the shorts and then push the price down. So it's just really kind of range trading, and you could kind of see that visible. I mean, between the low put in like right there, which is $7,600, and this high right here, which is around 8,800, all we've really done is this, and this. So that is the definition of a range right there. You don't really have any direction on the market where the market is looking to keep moving up, or if it's wanting to sort of keep moving down, okay? But at least for now, what's clearly obvious is that for the last couple of months, when we've sort of seen this market in this big descending triangle that we had, this consolidation period, we did expect that move down. And now, at least for now, I'm still expecting more downside movement. We're actually seeing that right now, as you can see. But for now, I wanted to show you guys something that's interesting. Is yesterday, I don't know if you caught my video, but I stated yesterday that over here, I'm expecting some price movement back up. All right, and this would be probably an area to look out for shorts. And I want to show you all this real quick, okay? Because it's right here. We got to close out of our short position. I had 2 different shorts that I had yesterday. Okay, I had this one right here shorting at 83.70, and another one that I had previously, which was another squeeze that I was shorting right here, okay? So in that particular area, I got to close out both these shorts, as you can see, at 83.30, 83.74, at this price, and then this price, okay? So, this kind of movement right here, folks, was at least, as per myself, largely expected, okay? And the reason I expected this is because we were still trapped in this downtrend line. And I think while most people were looking at something like this, okay, they were looking at a trend line like this, all right? And they said that, hey, it looks like we already broke out of it and we're going to keep on going up. But what they didn't understand is that, for the most part, was this scam push. This was a push for short squeezes. So I just ignore this, okay? Because for the most part, a best fit trend line was this right here, okay? Came back around, touched it again, came back around, touched it again. So that's why I kind of decided to ignore this, and I drew this trend line, and this is why I shorted right here while most people were looking to long right here. Okay, so understanding market structure like this is very critical and pivotal in moments like this, because if you're on the wrong side of drawing trend lines or misunderstanding the market, you're going to be caught in the wrong side of the position. Okay, so with that being said, again, now we can see the market dropping a little bit. Right now I'm still expecting sort of a push back up. I think it might go something like this and then drop back down, which would give you another potential opportunity to long, short up here. And if that doesn't happen, I'm basically hoping for, this, exactly what's happening right now, to push down a little bit more and hopefully give me a retest back up at this consolidation that you see right here. And then sort of a push back down, okay? But you can see the market dropping right now, and there's really nothing sort of special happening. I think it's probably going to bounce off this particular area, or it might just kind of push back up here. Let's see, on the 4-hour time frame, let's see what's going on. Actually, on the 1 hour, this is kind of another key area that's visible, right? The more optimal short for us to look out for is probably, in an area up here, okay? And this red block you can see has been a lot of, reactions, right? Support right there, resistance, resistance, support, support. All this was all resistance right there. And then it came back to ping it as support, support, support. And then it finally broke through. So it would make me feel comfortable to short if price makes it back up to this 8250 area for me to then short on the way down. All right, this thing is probably now on its way to collecting liquidity and then looking to push back up. I wouldn't be surprised. But then I would say, I would argue the point that we could be doing something like this, where we did push down and now we might go for a bigger sort of short squeeze, kind of like this. Okay, so this is why I'm careful. I don't just sort of place bids and just hope they pan out well. I'm hoping that this trend line holds. I'm hoping that we don't get a big candle squeeze outside of this trend line, because that's the trend line I'll be looking for over the coming couple of hours. Because if this pushes out of it, then I'm thinking this is going to be a short squeeze, and then I'm going to long this. Okay. On the daily chart, one thing I definitely did not like was yesterday's daily candle closing. No surprise that we basically bled down all the way. I told you guys that this particular area right here, 1, 2, 3, this was a evening doji star, or potentially an abandoned baby pattern. Mostly this is a reversal or a bearish pattern that leads to more downside. And you can see that's exactly what's happening right now. Price is currently retesting this 8,060 area, which is supposed to be support. So I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce back up just a little bit and then potentially push back down. As per the daily chart, still under the 200 moving average, so really nothing special there. And then the pivots right here, still largely under the pivot. And the S1 is way down here around 7,000. I think at some point we're going to make it down. I think those who think that we're going to be bullish in this market are, obviously going to be painfully wrong. Here's another thing as per skew that's really interesting. Okay. Over the last, 5 or 6 months, you could see that the ratio between the long and the short liquidations has been 2 to 1. So that means that, since May, right? Since May right here all the way into October, there's been far more long liquidations, okay? That implies that there are far more bullish people, even now in this market, now in October, basically looking to, aggressively long and do a degenerate style, 25, 50, 100x longs and get liquidated because they still think the market is bullish, right? And so sometimes you actually need something like that. You need that, evil on the other side, because if you're shorting, you want people to be able to want the market to go up because they're longing, right? Because remember, at the end of the day, every long has a short on the other side, all right? So you can't just short if there's no people to long, right? So with that being said, I still think that there's more pain to inflict on the longs. I think everyone is going to be surprised when prices dip way up, or I'm sorry, way down into this block, like I've stated many times, between the 70.5 fib and the 78.6 fib, which is actually just, above this previous consolidation area. Okay. And I still think, price could lead down there over the coming, month and a half or so. You can see already, we're just slowly bleeding down. For the most part, this really did seem like a scam push anyway. So I really wasn't too interested. I was hoping we could get to the 9100 or 9200 and then I'd get a better short, but that's okay. And on the weekly chart, this is kind of interesting too. You could see that, I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't know why TradingView does that. Okay, this is weird. I wish TradingView would just kind of keep the things drawn on the appropriate time frame they were drawn in. Okay, so here's that candle that I was telling you about, that this candle was actually more appropriate to this candle right here. Okay, where you see in the middle of a downtrend, you see sort of a hope candle, right in the middle, and then that gets destroyed by 2 more weeks of selling. And I'm hoping that those 2 weeks are kind of aggressive selling that take us at least to 6,000, maybe anywhere between 6,000 and 6,500. And if that doesn't hold, then we'll go down to that zone I told you guys about between the 70.5 and the 78.6. I mean, as per the weekly chart, technically the big consolidation is way down here between 5,300 and 5,000. I think that's pretty aggressive, but I mean, still very possible. And, as per the weekly chart, I mean, that's really where the only big support lies. So it is very possible that we could still make it down there, Let's see what else do we want to talk about. And there was some questions by our Advantage members. Again, folks, if you're not in the Advantage community, come join Cryptosomniac. Go to cryptosomniac.com, hit the products page, and buy the technical analysis course. I think the question was, what do I think about BAT and ZRX? So let's check out BAT. All right. So I like to trade BAT USDC because I'm on Coinbase. Let's see. So here's BAT, right? I think BAT could still have a bit of a ways to go because I think it's going to try to reach up here, which is all, very critical support way up here. Okay. So you can see, this was support right here, came back, pinged it as support. Whoops. Came back over here, touched it as support, boom, broke down, and then used it as resistance. So I think it's making sort of this rounded move probably back here all the way to about 27. I don't think most of these altcoins are done just yet. ZRX, same thing. ZRX, I mean, some of them might be done just because they're, they've gone up like 100% or something in the past week or so. Even ZRX, I think ZRX can make it up to maybe this particular area right up here. And this is all like critical, resistance right there. You could see support turn into resistance all the way up. So from here, at 29 and some change, we can make it up to 36 for ZRX. I really think that most of these alts are really trying to sort of make this big rounded bottom move. And then I think they're going to plunge deeper. One of my favorites actually is XRP, because XRP is, coming into a very interesting point. Let's see. Let me pull up the 3-day chart. Here's XRP, right? It's been on a nice sort of, let's see, almost like, I don't know, 15 days, 20 days so far in this, streak up. I think XRP could also make it up to this area right here, you know, about 31.5 or so right there, or 0.315 and some change. At the highest, I think it'll make it way up here around 46. I don't really think it's going to make it past that anytime soon. But, you know, I think there's a lot of interest actually. You know, if we draw sort of a horizontal right there, you can see that that particular area was support right there, fake out, resistance, resistance right there, resistance, resistance. So I wouldn't be surprised if XRP makes it up to, you know, this particular area, like 41 and maybe all the way up to like 45. Okay. So those are some areas that you want to look out for XRP. You know, I've talked about the Bitcoin dominance being a very important factor. I was screaming over here that we had some bearish divergence on Bitcoin dominance, where you see higher highs in price for Bitcoin dominance and then lower highs in the RSI. Okay, and I stated that we were breaking out this rising wedge, and we would more than likely be seeing more downside. So you can actually see that happening right now. And the next drop for Bitcoin dominance is probably over here around 66 points. You know, 66 points is probably one area we'll probably bounce up from, because obviously that was a decent amount of support that helped propel us all the way to a high of, you know, 73% or so. So just something to, you know, keep in mind. Or if we drop, we'll probably be dropping all the way to about 63 points, which could, again, dropping either over here or down here propels altcoins, right? Because altcoins, you've already seen, they're doing really well. If you're not paying attention, start looking at altcoins. While Bitcoin is scaring everyone from investing in the market, you know, altcoins are the ones that are taking off. Okay, so it's basically like a hey, look over here diversion. You know, like Bitcoin is falling, don't invest, while altcoins are taking off. You know, I don't think we'll ever see sort of a alt season like we did in 2017, but we will see, you know, times like today, basically, where you're seeing XRP and ZRX and Link, all these other coins that are going off for, you know, 50, 75, 100% gains in less than, you know, a week or two, right? So while you're focused on Bitcoin dropping, those other coins are taking off. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to check out REN BTC as well, because this is something that everyone likes. I think everyone really favors REN, and I think for good reason too. REN actually, I think on pullbacks is probably a decent buy too. You know, I've got my eye on this coin for a little while. You know, not a whole lot of volume coming into these, but not a surprise, because most of the volume like left Binance a little while back. So if we're targeting, you know, REN, it's probably, the big target is probably this area right here, you know, 1373. Okay, so if you get a chance to buy pullbacks, it's probably in this particular block right here. Okay, so you want to be looking in this particular block. Okay, why? Because you're going to see this area as resistance, support, resistance, and I'm not surprised if this comes back down here, kind of like this, right? Rolls back over, touches here, and then pushes back off. I think over the next maybe couple of weeks, these altcoins are really going to surprise people. And just like always, you know, most people are going to start FOMOing in altcoins when they've already reached their resistance. So I want you guys to sort of keep an eye on this, and, you know, bear in mind that, you know, these altcoins over the next couple of weeks could be popping off like really strongly, you know. Again, you know, we do this kind of analysis for our Advantage members quite a bit, and I wanted to show you guys this because I want you to stay informed, stay aware of, you know, all the sort of distractions that are happening in the market that are preventing you from, you know, achieving these great gains, because that's really what happens. Most people get stuck in, you know, this binary mindset of being too bearish or too bullish, while the market, you know, on the other side, like altcoins, is taking off. You know, and when altcoins are dumping, Bitcoin's taking off, but you're too scared to sort of jump in. And then when Bitcoin's at the top, then you jump in, right? So it's really just a sort of, you know, a story of the average, you know, retailer in crypto, because it's kind of sad that most people don't teach you or want to tell you the truth about, sometimes you have to sort of take a risk on coins like this, but set an appropriate stop, right? That's all you got to do. Most of trading is really just risk management. It's not about knowing where the market is going to go, right? It's more so about which position has the best risk to reward ratio. So for example, in this case, if I were to long this, right, I would keep my, say buy over here in this block right here, okay? My stop would be somewhere down here below this wick right here. And my target would be at the very least right here or at the very highest right there, right? So that's a 5.75 R, risk to reward ratio. That's a really great trade. I mean, you're risking a lot, right? Or you could keep a tighter stop like way up here, or wait for this thing to resolve itself and then try to figure out like, okay, what is my risk to reward ratio, right? So anyway, folks, do keep an eye on these alts. There's a lot going on in the space that most people are probably ignoring, but I want you to sort of keep an eye on it, because no one is going to tell you that this is the most appropriate time to sell or buy. They're going to tell you when the trend has already topped or prices have already bottomed, and then they're going to tell you like, okay, now it's time to sell, right? No one really looks at charts with the sort of non-biased outlook, or to try to deliver good information without emotional bias, or without some hidden agenda trying to tell you like, hey, this thing is going to go up 5x or something. All you really need to look for is the risk to reward ratio. Figure out what the agenda is in this market. Figure out if the trade or the altcoin or whatever you're trading is worth getting into, just based on the risk and reward that the market is providing. And once you've sort of outlined that, then it's really up to how the market is moving, right? Then you don't have to worry about, okay, I'm too heavy in this position. If I get stopped out, I'm gonna lose everything. That's another key part of risk management, is you can't be too heavy into positions that you cannot afford to lose. You can't go all into one position, right? And I think most people don't understand that. If you understand risk management, then you won't ever have to worry about whether a coin moves completely up or down, because you've set your stops, you've set your targets, exactly how much your position size is, and you kind of just wait for the market to do its thing, right? All right, I think that wraps it up. Let's see, I don't know. Again, folks, on the Advantage side, I do these nighttime updates for our people in Europe and Africa and Asia and Australia and New Zealand. So you guys get to see, exactly what I'm seeing before I go off to bed at night, right? And we provide updates through the day as well, as you can see. So tons of analysis, lots of hard work done in our community. And, we're not the kind of people that just provide signals. We like to explain things. We help you out in understanding how to be able to draw trend lines and how to read a chart and which indicators we use and how to use them, how to read, this kind of funding rate or open interest. So we provide the tools, in our education channel, as well as our, Advantage community chat, where people who have little experience or a lot of experience could come to learn. Okay. So I hope you guys come learn with us, come trade with us, and I'll talk to you all soon. All right. Take care.